Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all safe and well. Now on today's video, it's a brand new year, so happy 2024 to each and every one of you out there. Today we've got 5 jazz albums. It's quite an eclectic mix. Hopefully that's going to entertain you. There's at least one in there where I may have shown it to you before, but it's going to be a number of years ago. Probably more than likely nobody watched that video anyway, so it's I just thought I'd revisit it. It's well worth a mention. Maybe it's something that you haven't seen before, so hopefully it's going to entertain you. But before we start the video, just a brief bit of housekeeping. The following 2 gentlemen I'd just like to give a shout out to. That is Jean-Baptiste Reyna and TJB Diggin. That's TJB Diggin. I'd like to thank both of those 2 individuals for making a contribution to the channel. It's very nice of you. It's very generous. It won't be forgotten. So thank you very much for that. If you too like what I do on this particular channel, you like the kind of lo-fi, low-tech aspect of it, but mainly you're here to sample some of the albums that I've been listening to or have purchased recently, and you've enjoyed the actual content, please consider making a contribution, either via the PayPal link, which will either be on the channel header or somewhere in the video description, or hitting the thanks icon if you are subscribed to this channel. If you're not subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so. It only requires you hitting a button, and possibly meanwhile you're there, can you drop a like as well if you've liked the content, that is. So let's get on to, so again, thank you to those gentlemen for making a contribution. As you can see, I've got another color variant of my t-shirts. I'm pleased as punch with this particular color scheme. Hopefully you guys like it as well. So in the next few months, I'll be rolling out with each video a color variant on my logo type thing. So there you go. Yeah, I'm pleased as punch with this particular color scheme. Yeah. So yes, let's get on with today's video. 5 jazz albums for you to consider, see if it's going to work for your particular collection. Hopefully at least 1 or 2 will. So yeah, let's get straight on with it. I've got some notes here, so I will be peering down periodically. Excuse me for a second. Right. The first one today is a 1982 release. It's a bit of French jazz, which anybody who's been around the channel for a while will totally understand that I've got a French kind of jazz bias as well as Scandinavian jazz. So hopefully you're going to find it interesting, this 1982 one. It's called Akagera, and it's by 3 artists, Humer, Genot and Texier. Let's show you there you go. Let's show you the reverse side. Yeah, so this particular album's been on my radar for some time. I've listened to it quite a few times and never pulled the trigger for whatever reason. But definitely something that I got it at a really good price. That's really what determined more than anything. So let me put that on that side, as a matter of fact. I got it for a really good price, and hopefully it's going to be the same for you as well if you choose this album based on what I'm going to say. Yes, let's just read some of my notes and see if I contradict anything afterwards. The gentleman Humer is on drums. Genot, I've done a previous video. It does like a space age jazz kind of thing, so this is well within Genot's ballpark. He's on sax and flute, and Texier is on double bass and oud. So I've written in my notes, this is a good example of why I'm so enthusiastic about French jazz. It always sounds completely different from anything else it has a distinctive flavour. And yeah, that's something that I really been trying to cultivate in my jazz vinyl collection, is not to have the same standard albums that everyone else is basically showing you. I want to show you something else, just to show you the breadth of what jazz is out there. You may feel that this is inferior to what other people are showing you. Hey, it's a matter of opinion. So yeah, mileage may vary on this one. I had to listen to it a number of times before getting some kind of grip on what's going on. So yeah, just out of interest, by the way, Akagera is a national park in Rwanda, hence why you got the kind of this particular imagery. So yeah, it was an enjoyable experience. I'm just trying to think of what track. I think I'm going to use off this particular album. I'm going to use the track Le Cyclope. I think that's what I'm going to use. But there are a number of tracks on here. I'd say at least 4 tracks on here which really floated my boat. And when I actually heard them and listened to them carefully, it's like, yeah, I want that in my collection. That's a different enough sound to what I've already got for it to work really well. So pleased as punch that I got hold of this album finally. Glad I got it at a good price. It's Akagera, 1982, Hemer Genot Tixier. So yeah, I'm going to leave a link down below so you can hear it for yourself as well. Hopefully you will enjoy it. The second album today is a nice bit of fun from 1971. It's the Frank Cunamundo Trio, and it's introducing Lin Marino. There you go. So yeah, the real star of the show is the vocalist Lin Marino. Now, for me anyway, I super enjoyed this album, and hopefully the track that I'm going to leave you a link to down below, you're going to find it equally as compelling as I did. I've had this album for a number of years, and in terms of jazz vocal, I've got to say, okay, it's not the cream of the crop. I'm not saying it's a Dina Washington or Ella Fitzgerald. It's not operating on that level, but it is good nonetheless. Miss Marino has a distinct vocal style which I always enjoy. I don't like the kind of how would I best describe it? It's kind of like imitations of more well-known female jazz vocalists. I don't really like. I get bored with that really quite quickly. I understand that, you know, these people got to pay their mortgages and they have some talent, but I like originality more. This album certainly gives it to me by way of vocals. Her vocals are quite unique in the sense of they're more kind of nasally. That's the way I describe it. It's very distinctive. So you'll either enjoy it or you don't, kind of thing. Yeah, maybe not for everybody in terms of her vocal style, but certainly for me. I found this album a highly enjoyable experience. Despite the occasional moments of pathos by way of the lyrics in the actual album itself, it generally, in general terms, it has a really good kind of happy feel to it, which I'm certainly grateful for. Yeah, it's on the playful side in its totality, I would say. Of the 10 tracks on here, I'd say half of them are definitely to my standards and my liking. The others, I can take it or leave it. Let's see, the track I'm going to use on this particular album, I'm going to leave a link down below, is a track called Feeling Good. You're going to know it's Nina Simone's, what she made her classic type thing. I want you to listen to this version and see what you think. I think both can be in your collections without any contradiction, and I'm always going to say the Nina Simone version is a much better version, but this one is interesting. It's yeah, it's done completely different. It's familiar yet different. So hopefully you're going to enjoy it as well. Yeah, I think that's all I got to say about this particular album. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll leave a link down below so you can hear it for yourself as well. There are a number of tracks beyond Feeling Good which you're going to be entertained by. So yeah, give it a good listen, see what you think. Let's jump back. Let's have a look at my notes. So the third album today was a bit of a surprise. I got it from Pure Pleasure. I think I got this from. It's a 1986 release. It's by a gentleman called John Stubblefield, and the album's entitled Bushman's Song. So more than likely, pretty much all of you out there have seen this album cover at some point. Yeah, so on YouTube, it's there's not, yeah, there isn't a complete album on YouTube, and I was wondering why that is. This, you know, it's a Pure Pleasure one. Normally, you will find this somewhere on YouTube. Somebody's done a recording of it, so I was really surprised to find, well, why isn't that the case? Anyway, so kind of had to buy this based on maybe hearing 2 tracks from it. Always slightly uncomfortable, keep taking a risk. It might be a case of those are the only 2 tracks on this particular album, but I'm glad to say that there's at least instead of 2, there's at least 3 to 4 tracks on here which are worthy, certainly, of being in my collection anyway. So John Stubblefield is a saxophonist. So I'm reading my notes here. It's a weird, a weird album. Starts off with mid-tier up-tempo jazz fusion. Yeah. So my feelings on this album is, as a piece of art and as a complete concept, it just doesn't work. There's too many ideas going on here, too many types of genres what don't kind of like coalesce with each other. Yeah, it's really janky the way it's been put together. What have I said? At least one of the tracks sounds like it originally was designed to be played at a faster tempo, say for example 39 RPM instead of the 33. Yeah, I know which track I'm talking about. I think that's a Loss of a Moment. I think that's the track that I'm thinking of. But in itself, it's a better version of Gary Bias's East 101. In fact, I've got it in front of me, so you know what I'm talking about. This album. So many of you have got it, and as much as I don't like the album, I like one track off it, and I've done a video about that. But if you have come to enjoy this album, then I would say the John Stubblefield will have more of what you like on it. So do bear that in mind. I'm going to leave a link down below. The track that I'm probably going to use is East Side, West Side. I'll probably use that for the link. Yeah, there's a couple of tracks on here which certainly jarred me. They got a kind of like, to the Americans and North Americans out there, you would call it an island accent. I will call it a West Indian accent. Yeah, some of there's a couple of tracks on there which have that kind of feel to it. Yeah, and I didn't enjoy them whatsoever. Yeah, it's either kind of an islander accent or certainly not a Jamaican accent, but one of the other island type accents. Or it might be an English speaking Kenyan in terms of the vocal, how I'm hearing it. It's pretty jarring to my ears. I didn't enjoy those bits, so once I knew they existed on the album, I kind of skipped past them on repeated listening. I just kind of went, no, that's not for me. So yeah, there's some jazz fusiony faster tracks on here. There are some somber tracks, and that's the better tracks off this album, no doubts about it. But there seems a kind of fracture, a dislocation in terms of what it is, the concept of the album itself. What is it trying to do? I don't think this album has a concept. I just think they just had material, put it out on an album. Talented musicians, they just gave it a whirl, throw something at a wall and see what sticks kind of thing. So, but certainly two outstanding tracks in here. I would say for the 8 tracks in total, I'd probably say 4 of them are worth pursuing. The rest you can just kind of like, but then again, your mileage might vary. You might enjoy more of it than I did. But yeah, just one of those kind of curiosities out there in the market where you don't get to hear. It's quite unusually for an album of this kind of, the company who's repressing it, you would expect that more people would have been talking about this album. But yeah, it's not top tier, but it's good in and of itself. So yeah, something for you to consider. It's the 1986 John Stubblefield Bushman Song album. So there you go. And like I said, if you like the Gary Bias East 101, you're probably going to like it. So the 4th album today is a 1974 release. As soon as I heard this album, I knew I had to have it. And yeah, it was pretty much a no-brainer for me. It's by a gentleman it's a trumpeter called Marcus Belgrave, and the album's entitled Gemini 2. I'll show you that. There you go. Yes, so with this particular album, there's a few notables. Let's start off with that. There's Roy Brooks on drums, Harold McKinney on piano, Wendell Harrison on sax, Philip Ranelin on trombone. I think that's enough, It's yeah, it's the standard of musicianship on this particular album is something to behold, and it doesn't let you down. It's space jazz. Just put it that way. It's not consistently like that throughout the album, but just give it as an overarching kind of theme. Yeah, space jazz will kind of get you in some kind of mindset of what it is. I've written a quirky and lively journey through funky jazz. Might have been a more consistent body of work if the concept was produced as an EP. A couple of tracks don't seem to fit into the overall narrative. Not to say I didn't enjoy them, but they're completely distinctive. A worthy addition to any jazz collection if you are looking for something a little different from the norm. And yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with those statements. Yeah, I really enjoyed this album. Yeah, no complaints with it. It works well. It's not top tier. Very few things are, really top tier. So yeah, it's 6 tracks on here. I would say 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 of the 6. I would say definitely easily up to standard. So I'm going to leave a link down below. The track I'm going to use is Space Odyssey. I would suggest first time listening to Space Odyssey, you might want to fast forward to at least 2 minutes 30 into the track and start listening to it from there. It's a 13-14 minute track. So the first 2.5 minutes are kind of like a preamble, which might, on initial listening, it might just put you off. So I don't want you to have that kind of experience. So Space Odyssey, start at 2 minutes 30 on your first time of listening to it. then yeah, go from there. You will find tracks on here which you're going to like. I certainly did. I'm going to leave a link down below so you can hear it. Yeah, I certainly enjoyed it. Really glad to have it in my collection. For a while there, when it was re-released, it was only CD copies, so yeah, really glad to get my hands on a vinyl one. This is going to fit in really well with my collection, so pleased as punch to get that. So that was the 4th album today. The 5th album, let's just see. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. And would I say this is the favourite of the ones I'm showing you today? Probably is, to be quite honest. What is that? Oh, free download. Okay, this is an ECM release from 1978. The album's entitled Dear Wan, and it's by Kenny Wheeler. There you go. So for all the ECM fanboys out there, I know I said I'm not a fan of the ECM catalogue, and I'm going to stand by it, but Kenny Wheeler, there's something about what he does which really excites and fascinates me. So I've taken his content on board. I don't like all of it, but yeah, I'm willing to go as far as purchasing these albums. So let's have a quick look to see what I've written. Notables on this album: it's the ECM crew of Dejonet on drums, Abercrombie on guitar, and Gabarik on sax. As I said, I've been fascinated with the output of Wheeler for some time. He has a particular sound that resonates with me. Yeah, as I said already, I'm not a fanboy of the ECM label as such. And I would say that from what I've heard of ECM, this is not representative of necessarily their catalogue. It's maybe an outlier. It's best to see it like that. Let's see. Where credit's due, have to concede that I like this one a lot, and I do. Think of this more as an EP, maybe. Nah, the track length is quite long. It's a 4-track album, and yeah, there are moments of absolute beauty on this particular album, an absolutely stunning piece. It's not. Well, the track that I'm going to be using for demonstration purposes is, am I going to go for that? Yeah, Some Other Song I'm going to be using. I think that's a great track and gives you an idea of what's on this album. Yeah, just super glad to get hold of this album. It's one of those things that I kind of came across. My curiosity for the Kenny Wheeler stuff kind of led me to it, and as soon as I heard it, I just decided quite easily I had to have it. Pretty pricey for what it is. I think it was like Tone Poets type money for it. You should make up your mind as to whether or not it fits in your collection. But as I said, Kenny Wheeler, Dear Wan, ECM for 1978. A really good experience. So hopefully you'll find the same. So I think that wraps it up for today. 5 jazz albums for you to consider for your collection. Hopefully 1 or 2 of them are gonna excite you if you haven't heard them before or don't have them in your catalogue. Well, in your collection, you at least know it exists and you can get hold of it if you really want it. So yeah, some items for you to chew on. Hopefully you're gonna be as entertained as I certainly am. At this point, I just want to say thank you for your support last year and previous years. Hopefully there's more and more people being introduced to the channel, so that's always a nice element. Yeah, if you've got suggestions for albums that I should consider for my collection, always happy to hear your suggestions. Please make them in the comment section down below. If you disagree or agree with any of the albums I've shown you today, as to my assessment, what I think of them, yeah, please, again, in the comment section, please let me know. Yeah, it's all about opinions. You know, I don't think there's a definitive way of thinking about jazz and, you know, what parts of jazz you should like rather than other parts. I'm just putting it out there as to what's out there. See what you think, take it on its individual merit, see if it resonates with you, and if it does, at least you know it's available for purchase. So I'd like to thank you for joining me today. There's going to be another video in the future on something else. I've got quite a few jazz albums lined up for you, so do not worry, do not fear, there's going to be content for you. But this is the first one of 2024. Hopefully you enjoy it. So until the next time, do stay safe. Again, as I said, if you'd like to make a contribution, please do that via the PayPal link or via the thanks icon on the actual. Once you're subscribed to the channel, you can do that via the actual channel itself. As you can see, t-shirts are being seen. Is there anything else I wanted to relay to you? No, apart from just saying my thanks and, you know, thank you for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it. Yeah, I will see you soon for another jazz inspired video. So until then, look after yourselves, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.